is the Stagger Podcast.
Those guys are idiots.
Welcome into the Stagger Podcast. What is up? I am JD Smith.
And I am Derrick Smith. How are you all doing today on this lovely day?
That's right. Yeah, it's a lovely day for sure because we did our Cup Series preview, and now we're going to do our preview of the other series that you have in NASCAR. You have the Xfinity Series, you have the Truck Series. So we're going to shove those both together because I think there's a lot of cool storylines there. And we'll say, if you're someone who watches the Cup Series and you don't really usually watch the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series, maybe you tune in here and there, you don't know what you're watching, we hope this will help you kind of figure that out. So if you're ready to become a badass mother trucker like us, let's get into some Truck Series and Xfinity. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nothing like love having a good old truck race on a Friday night. Nothing better.
Yeah, it is. I love the fact they're doing some great stuff at Pocono this year. They're going to have the Trucks, the Xfinity doubleheader for Cup Series. So one day's going to be Trucks, one day's going to be Xfinity. Hopefully
they're going to let them have an extra truck that they can put in the race when they wreck the first truck.
Hopefully they have 7 hours scheduled out for the Truck Series because last year that was
the deer on the backstretch.
Yeah, well, let's talk about. There's a lot of changes here that we're going to get to with both of these series. So let's get to the Xfinity Series first. Of course, that is featuring your champion, your returning champion, Austin Cindric. He won it last year. He will be back, of course, this year, and he has got a lot of momentum for him. He had a great run last year. He is waiting to get the Cup ride. He will be taking over for Matt DiBenedetto at Wood Brothers in 2022. So this year, I think it's going to be interesting because he's going to have to keep his focus on what he has to do in the Xfinity Series because I would presume that's got to be tough for a guy who knows he's going to be in Cup Series. He's going to be running some limited Cup races this year for Penske. They're going to put a fourth car out there for him, so he'll be running the Daytona 500, or at least he's going to attempt to qualify. I don't know if he'll get in, but he's going to attempt to qualify for that. So that's going to be a little bit of an interesting thing for him, knowing next year he's moving up to Cup. This year, just another year in Xfinity where he's already won a championship. I would assume, don't you think it's going to be a little tough for him to stay focused?
I think so. It's tough to put yourself in that shoes because I've never been in a spot where you're going to be set financially forever and have an awesome ride or an awesome job in a year. You just have to kind of bide your time for a whole year. But I think he can do it. And the job he's got now is not that bad. Being an Xfinity, favorite to win the championship. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him to just fine tune some things and be ready with his limited Cup schedule to shine this year and then just walk into, he's got to do this again next year pretty much because he's going to be at the Wood Brothers until the next guy comes along, which if Brad Keselowski does not re-sign, there's a chance that they may have an out clause.
Yeah,
and he may never end up going to Wood Brothers.
That's
it's
true.
A possibility.
He could go right up there. You're right. That could very well be
the Cup, Xfinity Championship.
Yeah, so maybe that's the focus for him is to say, I don't ever want to have to race with Wood Brothers. I want to make, if Brad has this even a bit of a trip up this year and just finishes like top 10 but doesn't make the playoffs, maybe that's enough to say, it's time to move on from Brad. Let's bring in Austin Cindric. And for those who don't know, it's been brought up a lot, but Tim Cindric, his dad, is the director of racing for Penske. He's been there for years. So, it's not to say Austin can't run. He certainly can. He's in really good equipment, but he's a great driver. But he also, of course, will be a Penske driver for sure. There's no doubt about how that's going to go. The other final four from last year, so Austin Cindric was one of them. Chase Briscoe was another. Chase Briscoe is in Cup Series this year, so he's not back in the Xfinity Series. Justin Allgaier is a kind of career Xfinity guy who is very good and certainly will be in the mix again this year. And Justin Hailie was rounding out the top four of the Xfinity Series. So those are the guys to kind of keep an eye on if you're wondering. There are certainly some others that we'll talk about. But let's talk about someone, I don't know if he'll be up in this level yet, but someone we're glad to see back at the track and glad to see him back on an actual physical track, not just on an iRacing track. Landon Castle. Last time he was in the Xfinity Series was last year part-time with Morgan Shepherd Racing. Now he will have a full-time ride with number 4 JD Motorsports Chevrolet. So that's a big deal for old Landon Castle. We're glad to have him back.
Oh, yeah. The Iowa native drove back in 2019 when he took over for Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 00 Starcom Racing Chevrolet. And
that was in the Cup Series.
And I thought for sure that he was going to continue on with that. He's a heck of a driver. And I bet you he doesn't come that expensive, but Starcom, for obvious reasons, needed to go with the driver that brought more funding. So that's why Quinn Houff is their driver and Landon Castle is not, but he's back with JD Motorsports. He's driven for them before, but he's doing a full-time season. I think he's going to have an opportunity. Their equipment has been stepping up. I mean, Ryan Vargas got a top 10 last year in the TikTok car. I think there's definitely opportunities for them to step up and be more of a force in Xfinity. Will he get a win? I don't know. Will he get in the playoffs? I hope so, and I think he can. But I'm looking forward to seeing him drive again, but I'm also looking forward to seeing him basically be the antithesis to Ryan Vargas on TikTok. I think he's going to be the one that sneaks into TikTok videos and it's just like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think that
he's an eclectic guy. If I would highly encourage you guys to go back in the archives. Dinner with funny, Racers. Man. They interviewed Landon Castle years ago. He once one of his sponsors back in the day was Snap Fitness, and he famously ran the Rolex. I can't get that off my brain. He ran the Coke 600 for 600 miles, and then ended up running back to his downtown apartment at at night. He just put on his running shoes and ran back home as part of a sponsor thing.
Yeah.
And then the whole what would this be? Number 4 nice. The whole 38 nice and all the things that he's had for years. His marketing, his t-shirts are fun. He's a great asset to the sport, great driver to have around. I'm glad he's back in the
he'll make the Xfinity series more interesting for sure, and I'm glad he's there. Another guy who will do the same is the Dinger. AJ Allmendinger's running a full championship schedule for Colleague Racing, so he's going to be getting a crack at 7 road courses that are on the schedule for Xfinity as well. So he is going to have plenty of chances to show off his chops and he could be a playoff driver in Xfinity because you get a win. Oh, let me rephrase that. Sorry.
I think
he will definitely. Yes, it will be a disappointment if he is not a playoff driver. He should have an excellent season this year. He put in some really good turns in that car part-time last year, not just on road courses. He was also really good on the ovals, and he was excellent. So what I meant to say with Dinger is he could be a top 4 driver getting into that final race with a chance to win the championship. That's what I'm saying. So, playoffs are bust for him, clearly. But then, you think he'll have plenty of good opportunities there. By the way, him and Austin Cindric getting to battle on road courses, that'll be worth the price of admission. If you get to go to an Xfinity race on a road course, check those two out. That'll be a lot of fun. Noah Gragson, however you're supposed to say his name, he was also pretty good. Low key, had a couple podium finishes at Indianapolis. He was 3rd. Daytona, he was 3rd. Charlotte, he was 2nd on the Roval. So he finished top 10 at even Road America. So watch out for the road courses in Xfinity because you got some rangers in there who could have some fun.
Yeah, Noah Gragson is the GameStop stallion. That's what he's after the knockout punch that he
Diamond
threw at
hands, ride it to the moon, rock it to the moon. Never let go of your Noah Gragson stock.
We're going to take these hands to the moon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be. I miss the GameStop sponsorship. Maybe they can use some of that Wall Street Bets money to throw down on a
maybe they'll get
Noah
back
Gragson
in the game
car again.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's talk a little bit more about Daniel Hemrick. So he was in a Junior Motorsports Chevrolet number 8 part-time last year. Now he is in a full-time ride with Gibbs, so moving from Chevy to Toyota in the Xfinity Series. 21 starts last year. Now he gets to go pilot a Gibbs racing car, and pretty good one too. The number 18 in the Xfinity Series is no slouch, so that should be excellent.
Yeah, Daniel Hemrick is got an awesome opportunity driving the 18 with Joe Gibbs Racing. That has had Riley Herbst in it last year. It's had a lot of drivers. It's had Kyle Busch in it over the years. And Joe Gibbs Racing has continued to produce cup-level drivers. Now, he's already been a cup-level driver and spent 2020 driving Xfinity part-time for JR Motorsports. With him coming back into Xfinity, though, he's always been a contender to win races and to win championships. I think this is a year where he can definitely get a win, and I think he's got a great opportunity to be in that championship 4 at the end of the year, too.
Yeah, Daniel Hemrick certainly is a guy who I think got up to Cup too early, and then it just, for whatever reason, it wasn't like he was bad. He just wasn't up to the level they were hoping he was. So this is another redemption tour thing for him, and now going up through the Toyota stable, maybe that allows him a different pathway forward. So we'll see. Certainly, you would think the opportunities will be there. If he can put that car in victory lane, you think he'll get plenty of chances to do so because it is good equipment. And speaking of, you mentioned Riley Earps. That's who he is replacing, Joe Gibbs. So where did Riley Earps go? Well, he's headed over to the 98 car that is vacated by Chase Briscoe. Now he'll be with Stewart-Haas in a Ford. So Hemrick goes from Chevy to Toyota. Riley Earps goes from Toyota to Ford. So try to keep your head on straight following all that around. But yeah, this is a team. Last year, that car was in the championship 4. So he was knocked out in the round of 12. So he's going to have to move up, certainly, and get a couple race wins, you would think. That's a big expectation. He's only 21 years old, so still very young in his career. We'll see what he can do in that new equipment for Stewart-Haas.
Yeah, I always remember him as the Hannah Newhouse the comment that when Hannah Newhouse called him a douchebag on Bristol's public address.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
He wrecked out and he just treated her like crap. And she had a hot mic. She's like, "What a douchebag."
Yeah, well, maybe he won't be a douchebag at Stewart-Haas, or maybe he will be. Who knows? Now, let's talk about Ty Gibbs. This one's fairly interesting because Ty Gibbs is the grandson of Joe Gibbs. Am I wrong?
Yeah, grandson, yep.
Yep. So he last year drove the number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota in the ARCA Menard Series. That was full-time. Now he moves up to part-time in the number 54, which is their second car that they put in the Xfinity Series. He'll also run that ARCA Menard Series with the 18 again, so he's going to be doing a little bit of both. But part-time Xfinity, he'll be making his series debut on the Daytona Road Course, second weekend of the season. So he's going to be running for rookie honors there. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. will also be hopping in this number 18. So that's the car that will be whenever one of the Cup guys wants to come down and test a little bit more or run another race, they'll be in the 18. When they're not, Ty Gibbs will be in it. So no doubt, Ty Gibbs is in the stable and he'll be working his way up, jumping right over the Truck Series, heading up through Xfinity. And no doubt, of course, if he's any good or, he'll have no problem getting sponsorship or money or anything else because he's,
that's why I don't see Martin Truex Jr. being long in the Gibbs seat. I don't see Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin being long in the Gibbs seat, crazy as it sounds. Or maybe I better should say that like this: that 20 ride ever since Stewart has left and Kenseth has left has kind of been actually I guess it would be when Logano left. Kenseth took it over
for a year or two.
Yeah, it's that Suarez is kind of on the hook. I know he's in the 19, but it's like there's this one driver at Gibbs, I should say, and I know I botched this, but this one driver at Gibbs, I should say, that always is looking over their shoulder. And I would tend to think that is actually Martin Truex Jr. this year. But if he does end up doing well, signs a new deal, stays there, cements himself as part of the top 4 there, I think it's going to be Christopher Bell until something else happens. So that's why I say it goes back to our Cup preview that we had. If you need to go back and listen to that, I said that Christopher Bell needs to make sure that Kyle Larson is in the fence at Bristol in the dirt race. That needs to be his victory, like bar none, like win that race because you need to get in the chase. You need to get in the playoffs. You need to get in the playoffs. And that's the best way to do it. Winning your rookie year campaign at Gibbs.
Obviously he's already been a rookie, but
he needs to establish himself. And you don't want to be the last driver at Gibbs because they will always drop you.
Look, the reality is, Martin Truex Jr. has done a ton in the sport and is very good. Christopher Bell is a younger driver. But you're right, for both those guys, I mean, when the owner's grandson is sitting in the wings in a top ride, and if he does as well as we think, he could end up
sort of good. If he does any sort of good, you got to start looking over his shoulder.
If he's any sort of good, they're going to give him opportunities. I don't think Joe Gibbs is the type of guy who would push out an established champion for his own grandson. But the reality is, we know where the sport is heading. And if Martin Truex Jr. sees the writing on the wall, maybe he doesn't want to hang around for a few more years just to keep a seat warm. You know what I mean? So I think that is something at least to keep an eye on. Now, Ty Gibbs may go out and wreck every car that he's driven in the Xfinity Series, and this may not be a story. But you're right. If he's any good, keep an eye on what that means for the Cup-level Gibbs Racing Series and see what that happens. Let's talk one more Xfinity driver here. And then we'll switch gears, start talking about the Truck Series.
Ryan Vargas from JD Motorsports, number 6. We talked about him a little earlier. He is now sponsored by TikTok, which I think is one of the coolest cars out there. That is the car that made me decide that I'm going to become a diecast collector. I'm going to start having a wall of diecast and I might get like 4 or 5 a year, but I'm going to spend a couple $100 a year getting diecast because that's just a sick, cool looking car.
Yeah.
Not only that, Ryan Vargas has had he's a great follow on TikTok, on all social media. He's great. Oh my gosh, I just saw a TikTok of him making fun of Hailie Deegan while she's in the room, and she's like, "What? Hey!" Sticks her head in the camera, and he shuts it off real quick.
Yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, I don't think she's a good driver. She wrecks all of her equipment. She's way overhyped," and she's just like, "Hey, are you talking about me?" So he's a great personality.
He is, man.
Definitely
He's fun. I root for Ryan Vargas. We stand Ryan Vargas on this program, and we love what he's doing. So yeah,
absolutely.
another guy who's an iRacer who does the virtual stuff, but also can get it done on the track. So more opportunities for him is great to hear about this year. So.
And he's got 5 top 20s at Road America, the Charlotte Roval, Iowa. Pocono was a 13th place finish, and Texas he came from 31st to finish 8th.
That Pocono race, he was driving the wheels off that thing too, because it was a crazy restart at the end, and he made some moves. Yeah, I was very happy to see him get that run at Pocono. I definitely remember watching that last year. But yeah, he's going to have an opportunity, Rookie of the Year honors, to go for this year. So we'll see what he can do, man. We'll see what he can get it done.
I'm excited to see what JD Motorsports has to offer. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm pretty stoked to see it, and I think they're going to make a jump this year.
Yeah. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk about the 2021 NASCAR Truck Series next. You are listening to the Stagger Podcast. All right, welcome back to the Stagger Podcast. Let's talk trucks, because we are now back to the Camping World Truck Series, because it was Camping World, and then it went to Gander Mountain Truck Series. Yeah, Gander Outdoors Truck Series, and now it's back to Camping World. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, if you like the outdoors, the Truck Series is supposed to be for you, I guess. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Your
Get outdoors, watch some trucks.
That's right. Even though they run at the same tracks as the NASCAR teams, and
hey,
Xfinity,
I'm not complaining, man.
Cup,
you know me, my Friday nights start with truck racing, so I'm
we love the Truck Series here, and in fact, I will tell people before we get into this, if you are just trying to get to a race this year and you want to go to a big track, but maybe you're someone who's like, baller on a budget. You're like, I don't want to spend $500 to take my whole family to a race. Dude, go to a Truck Series race because it's so much $30-$40 to get in for the adults. The kids under 12 are usually free or $5 or something cheap like that. And you can have just as much fun at a truck race, especially if you've got kids under 12. Like,
oh yeah,
take them there. And then, by the way, if they all freak out or they're hot or it rains or whatever, you don't feel as bad because you're out a few, $50-$100 as opposed to $500-$600. I mean, you might as well enjoy that. And guess what? You can still walk around the track. All the merch tents are open. All the places that you would go if you were there for the Cup race on Sunday. And there's way fewer people. Traffic's better. I'm just saying, Truck Series. Awesome.
Awesome.
Don't sleep on going to a truck race. They're great. At least when they're at, the Cup racing place. Now, if you go to Knoxville this year for the truck race, that will be packed, I'm guessing, because that's their first time going to that track, and more on that in a second. But so the Truck Racing Series, we love it. It's great.
Yeah. And I mean, you're looking at the champions, Sheldon Creed from 2020, Zane Smith, Brett Moffitt, and Grant Enfinger.
Those are your final four. Yeah.
Those are your top four, with Creed obviously getting the championship. So, I mean, Sheldon Creed has improved over 2020, 11 top 10 finishes and 4 top 5 results. I think that that was his first year. I'm sorry, I'm reading the stats wrong. And this year he entered the Phoenix finale with 4 wins, 8 top 5 finishes, and 12 top 10 results. So he won the ARCA Series in 2018, and he's back in the Truck Series this year with GMS to see if he can repeat. So I think he's definitely a candidate to get that Final Four. Remains to be seen if other upstarts and other drivers and returning Cup veterans we'll try to unseat him.
Yeah, for sure. This is a very interesting season. And Sheldon Creed, by the way, for those who don't know, he cut his teeth racing like dirt bikes and those the
Baja trucks.
Baja, right? I don't know if they're called Baja. The dirt trucks where you jump and it's like arena cross.
It's the Robbie Gordon.
Yeah, he did a lot of that stuff growing up. Maybe he did Baja stuff too. I don't remember, but anyway, so like he's kind of tailor made for the Truck Series in some ways because he's got a truck background, just a very different kind of background. But I wonder if he'll kind of stay there as just a career guy, or if he'll move up to Xfinity. And I mean, he was a good driver. I saw him pull some moves last year that I thought were some of the best I'd seen in any NASCAR series over the years. So yeah, he's a hell of a driver, man. I love watching him wheel that thing. So yeah, watching him is a pleasure every time you get a chance to. And GMS, by the way, that team, they went 1-2-3 last year, or at least as far as at the end of the last race, which of course 3 of the 4 trucks were GMS trucks. They finished 1-2-3. So Grant Enfinger being the outlier there. More on him in a second. So GMS strong in the Cup series or in the Truck Series. So keep an eye on them. And
boys from Statesville.
Zane Smith is back. Brett Moffitt is not with that team this year.
Yeah.
He moves on, Brett Moffitt, actually, to Nice Motorsports. He'll be driving the number 45 Chevrolet Silverado for them.
Yeah.
Ryan
watch
Truex.
out with that rivalry with the nephew Motorsports. They're always. We got jokes. We got jokes.
He'll join Ryan Truex and Carson Hochevar there. Carson Hochevar is a super late model guy, like definite short track guy. So yeah, they've got a pretty good stable there in their own right with Brett Moffitt joining that team. So in either case, these will both be some pretty good teams there. GMS, Nice Motorsports, keep an eye on both of them. One big change to the Truck Series. We talked a lot about the dirt race at Bristol in our Cup preview, which of course go listen to. But there's no more Eldora on the truck schedule this year. That's the first time in a few years they're not going to be going there. But it's not that it's not that they're not going to be doing dirt races. They will do a couple of those. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say I blame Major League Baseball. Ever since they did a cease and desist over the Mud Summer Classic, it's just been one of those things, stupid. Man, where you try and you try, and you just can't make a race stick for whatever reason. And I think it's more the fans showed up for it. It was always sold out or close to sold out. I think there's other things that factoring in. They want to go to COTA. They want to go to Nashville, Canadian Tire. They're back up there. So I think it's just the Bristol dirt race is what made them leave Eldora. They're like 3 dirt tracks. I don't know if we can do that. So Knoxville and Iowa
I'll say this,
and Bristol opening their opportunities for more dirt racing. Maybe Eldora comes back in 22, but this year they're off the schedule.
I'll tell you the thing that I just kind of get frustrated by is I really wish they would have just kept Eldora on the schedule, because I don't see why you couldn't run at Knoxville and Eldora. Quite honestly, I think expanding to the smaller tracks is better than. I know they wanted to have the Bristol dirt race. They're getting that. Everybody's going to be doing that, or at least the trucks are. So it's whatever, man. I would prefer them to be at Eldora, but I get it. They're going to do the Bristol thing, and that'll be fun. But Knoxville's cool, right? I mean, if they're not going to go to Eldora, at least they're going to another small track. I'd like to see them. What's the big mile track? Well, in Indiana, right? They have the Indianapolis is the Indiana State Fairgrounds, right? Where they have like a mile-long track there on dirt. That'd be kind of cool to see them do that.
I know ARCA races at Springfield and Dubois. I think there's a couple dirt tracks they run.
Is it Dubois?
Out there, if I want to make sense.
DuQuoin. Right? That's what you're thinking of.
Des Moines?
No, DuQuoin.
DuQuoin, yeah.
DuCoin.
Pierre-Luc Dubois. Yeah, I don't know why I've got that on my brain.
A Blue Jackets fan, yeah.
Random.
Well, not anymore. Yeah, now he's with Manitoba.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's there.
One of those Canadian places.
Who cares? That's right. So either way, we've got so the trucks are going to go to COTA, like you said. That's interesting. They'll be back at Canadian Tire, Nashville. It's a pretty good schedule. I'm excited for this truck series, and I'm excited for some of the tracks they're going to go to. Let's talk about one of the other big stories for the truck series. Of course, she will be making a big splash this year. It is Hailie Deegan coming over after a successful year in the ARCA Menard series. Now she will be joining the #1 David Gilliland Racing team, driving a Ford for them. So she's moving up the ladder. She's 19 years old. She'll run for Rookie of the Year honors. This is a huge deal for her, and obviously she's getting a lot of hype coming into this series.
Yeah, and she's got a great crew chief. Mike Hillman Jr. is going to be sitting atop the pit box for David Gilliland Racing. This is going to be a chance for her to get Rookie of the Year honors. I expect that she's going to have I don't want to say a breakout year, but I think she's going to do well enough to meet the critics and kind of hold them off for a year, if that makes sense. Because I know as soon as Natalie Decker comes in the sport, and any of the other females that have come in the sport, everyone's quick to jump on them. Danica Patrick blazed this trail, and less people with each one of these new female drivers that are coming up are being less and less male chauvinist pigs, I guess you want to say.
Yeah.
Hailie Deegan's got a lot of engagement on social media. She's fun to follow, and she's a racer. She has raced. She's based out of Temecula, beautiful wine country. If you ever want to take your missus up there, or Mrs. if you want to take your Mister up there, or Misters if you want, whoever you want to take, your significant other, enjoy taking them up there. But she's from the wine country, and there's great dirt racing up there. The dirt trucks. Brian Deegan's her dad, so he's got.
If
racing's
you're,
in her blood.
I don't know how much people like. I don't know how many people remember Brian Deegan. I'm sure lots of people listening do, but you have to be a certain age, I guess. But like the Metal Militia, the X Games, like this dude on a dirt bike is one of the craziest freestyle motocross riders you're ever going to see. He was the first ever to do a twisting backflip 360 in competition. The Militia Twist is what they call it. Like this dude was just crazy what this guy did. So Crusty Demons of Dirt, all that stuff. Like Brian Deegan is the man. He was one of the craziest dudes you ever see on a dirt bike. So yeah, but he has obviously done quite a bit, and I don't mean to say this in a bad way towards Hailie Deegan. It's just the reality. People want to say like, well, why is this person getting into the sport, or how are they getting this push? The reality is she's got Ford sponsorship. She's got a ton of money behind her. She's a good driver. The question's going to be, does the talent meet the hype, right? And that's not because she's a girl. That's because she's a driver who's got a lot of hype. So is the talent going to meet it? That's what we're going to find out. But for sure, she's going to have every opportunity to be successful. And we are rooting for her here. I think... As you know, you've got a daughter. I have got 3. It's something when they see representation in the sport, they just get excited. When they see there's a girl driver, they immediately, at least my girls, get very interested in, oh, how is the girl driver doing? How's Danica doing back when Danica was running, And so when we watch Indy cars, right, they found out that Pippa Mann, raced in the Indy 500. And so they would always ask about Pippa Mann, the year she ran. So this is something now that they're going to be interested in watching these truck races because they'll know there's a girl driver. So you doubt for a second she's going to move merch. I mean, I don't know why anybody would. She's already probably moved more than half the drivers in the Cup garage. But yeah, she's going to sell and people will be watching. So hopefully for her, the pressure's not too big. She's, been groomed for this her whole life, right? People have known she's going to go into racing and she's been really good at it. So we'll see if that continues as she moves up the sport. Another storyline this year with Truck Series, though, Derrick, is a team that you're very familiar with, Thor Sport Racing.
Oh, yeah.
They've made some big changes because they announced they're parting ways with Ford and going back to Toyota, I believe.
Back to the old guard where Matt Crafton won his championship and where they just had so much success with the Toyotas. So it's good to see him going back to, you've got past truck champions, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, as we said, and Ben Rhodes, who's been with the organization for a while. While they've left Ford, they've got Toyota, and they ran them from 2012 to 2017. And they brought on Christian Eckes, and he's going to be running the 98. And they're only going to have Grant Enfinger for a part-time schedule. Now, he was a Final Four driver last year.
Here's what I don't get with that, man. That is so frustrating to me because now Grant Enfinger, here's all I need to tell you. Grant Enfinger is going to split time with Christian Eckes, right?
Yeah.
Grant Enfinger is 36 years old. Christian Eckes is 20 years old. Yeah. Christian Eckes is a TRD talent. So they switched the whole team around basically to get Christian Eckes is the way I read that. I could be wrong.
Well,
but Christian Eckes is a TRD guy. They switched to Toyota, and now they take their Final Four driver and park him for half the year so the part-time TRD guy can get in there. This seems to me like Toyota at least was somewhat involved in saying, hey, we want to get seat time for our guy, and we think you're a good team, but we need to see the support. That's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but that is very incredible to me that they're parking Christian Eckes for half the year, or Grant Enfinger for half the year so that Christian Eckes can get time. Although he's a really good driver. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Absolutely.
That's just, that's a weird deal.
Let this be a lesson to every driver that's listening to this podcast or, however this is passed around. It's common knowledge now, I would say. You just saw Grant Enfinger show that he's one of the top drivers in truck racing. He comes back after a winter where maybe he didn't get as much sponsorship as he needed to. Ben Rhodes has a full season ride. Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter have full season rides. I think it is a situation where TRD is like, hey, we'll gladly take you guys back as a manufacturer. Maybe it's a better deal for
you got to throw one of our guys in.
But you got to throw Christian Eckes in because we think he's got talent. And this Cup guy, John Hunter Nemechek, has come down to Kyle Busch Motorsports, and basically Eckes is without a ride. So we need to make this happen. And Ben Rhodes has done more marketing homework and has more partners than Grant Enfinger, and it's the sad reality of it.
You know, here's the thing that I don't get though. Like, how does Grant Enfinger I know sponsors are weird, and I know they just do what they do. Matt Crafton's a former champion, right? Johnny Sauter a champion? I can't remember if it seems like he's one, right?
Yeah, he's a champion.
Yeah, okay. So you got two former champions there. Ben Rhodes is obviously very good and always involved. But here's the reality, man. Like, Grant Enfinger was, and this is a powerhouse organization, ThorSport. I mean, they are in the Truck Series as good as it gets.
On the shores of Lake Erie.
Yeah, right. Very cool. And yeah, like you said, one of the few teams not based in the Charlotte metro area, right? I mean, they're based in Sandusky, Ohio, which is cool for us being Ohio guys. We love the ThorSport team, but the thing that sucks with Grant Enfinger again is that dude got that truck up to where it was last year, top 4. None of the other guys did. You know, no one else in that team was able to get it done. He did. And yet he's the one losing his ride. I don't understand why sponsors can't look at that and say, well, I just want to be involved with whatever truck is the one that we think can get to the championship. And so for Matt Craft and Johnny Sauter, they've obviously earned their stripes because of their championships previously. It's just weird to me. It's weird to me that the guy right now who's actually maybe the best driver in their stable, maybe in Grant Enfinger, is going to go part-time. It's the business. Yeah. And it sucks because reading interviews from him and hearing him talk about it, he basically just saying, I don't know why it happened. It is what it is. I got to do what I got to do. Yep. So that's a tough pill to swallow, man. And being 36 years old in NASCAR, you're in the Truck Series. It seems like maybe there's some writing on the wall there for him, and that's too bad because I would have thought he was on his way up, even though he is an older driver. I would have thought he's on his way up maybe to the Xfinity Series to just, be able to keep, for one of those teams that just likes to win and have, championship hopes. I mean, there's a place for the AJ Allmendingers, right? And the Justin Allgaiers in that sport. I'm kind of surprised Grant Enfinger's not headed that way as opposed to now he's getting cut on his time. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's the sad reality of racing in this day and age. It needs to make business sense, especially for ThorSport. They're in a position somehow, some way, where they have to listen to what Toyota says.
Yeah, they do.
If they want to be a partner with them. So sometimes you have to make these tough decisions in business, let alone sports business. And it sucks for Grant Enfinger. And we just hope that he can come back and race. And this is why I love the Truck Series, because we're talking about Johnny Sauter. He's a weapon out there. Mark Martin's famous quote about him. You're talking about, and that's an old Easter egg for some racing podcast fans out there. That's a callback to about 20 years ago, 15 years ago now with Rowdy Racing, if you remember that podcast. But so, and you got Matt Crafton. I mean, these are drivers that have been in the Truck Series for a decade plus. And sometimes, I'm a big NASCAR fan, as you can tell. There's times I have to look over the Xfinity sheet at the beginning of the year and go, wait, who's this guy again?
Oh yeah.
And especially if they had a cup of coffee in Truck Series. But it's nice to know that the Truck Series allows for a place for drivers to continue to make a living, to continue to perform, and to continue to put on a show after they've, stalled out in their climb up the ladder. And Ben Rhodes is a guy who I don't think is going to make it as an Xfinity or a Cup guy, but he's a solid truck racer. Yeah. So he's kind of like a young Johnny Sauter, a young Matt Crafton, who probably will be in the Truck Series for 10, 15 years. You don't know. You
know who else is a solid truck racer? Grant Enfinger. Anyway,
Grant Enfinger, yeah.
Right, until I've said enough about that. I hope he goes out there and smokes everyone in the races he gets in, and they all look stupid for not putting him in the top ride. But
until Jenny Hamlin's daughter comes along and takes Ben Rhodes' ride for a part-time season,
Yeah, you never know.
You never know, man.
One last storyline out of the Truck Series, and then we'll get out of here. Is you mentioned him just a second ago, John Hunter Nemechek. So this is a guy who had 3 top 10s in the Cup Series last year, had the ride with Front Row, decided instead to get into a championship caliber truck ride with KBM, Kyle Busch Motorsports. So what do you expect for the 23-year-old here? It's not like he doesn't have success in the Truck Series before. He's been there, done that. So he could be someone who absolutely gets into the top 4 here.
Oh yeah, I think this is a unique situation. I mean, it's not uncommon for drivers that don't have a full season. You look at Ryan Preece; he had the ability to go full season with JD Motorsports, or like 8 races with Joe Gibbs, and that parlayed him into a Cup career that he is still enjoying. Yeah. And so I think that this is a situation where John Hunter looked at it and said, you know what, for whatever reason, I want to be in a competitive equipment. I want to win a championship. and the Truck Series opened up that spot. And also too, it switched them from Ford to Toyota.
Yeah,
so it's yet another driver that can hop in that seat. And if you look at it, you got Trackhouse, you've got 2311. There's 2 brand new Toyota teams.
Yeah,
that may be able to expand to a 2-car operation. And you don't tell me that John Hunter Nemechek won't be in the top of that conversation at either of those teams to add in that second car.
Oh, don't worry. He'll eventually hop over to a Honda Ridgeline eventually, and they'll.
Maybe that's the final stopping point, is that he's wanting to go to the new manufacturer.
I got it. Yeah.
There's already some, side room deals at a ski resort in Alberta or wherever Cole Pern's at. You never know, man. You never know.
All I want to see is Grant Enfinger running a Ridgeline next year, full time. Just with a middle finger out the window. I don't think that's happening, but if Honda does come into the sport, that would be so epic. Let's
just do the Tesla truck, man. I'm fine with that.
Yes. Tesla truck with it's just that stainless steel with a number slapped on the side. There's no other sponsorship.
And hire Darrell Waltrip, give him a baseball bat, like that old Toyota Tundra ad. Let him just run around and just wreck people.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
Elon Musk is like, yes, Darrell, this is great. I love the truck racing. This is great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Elon Musk at a truck race. That'll be a shit show for sure. All right, man. That's it for us for the Xfinity and Truck Series preview. Hope you guys enjoy it this year. Hopefully we can see you at a truck race or an Xfinity race in the coming days. But for sure, stick with Stagger all year long, as we will be talking about the trucks and Xfinity along with the Cup Series and also IndyCar and IMSA and all your forms of American motorsports. If it goes on 4 wheels and goes around a circuit.
Formula One. We're going to be talking some Formula One this year.
And a little F1 for sure.
A little one.
A little F1 for sure.
A little F1.
That is it for us. Until next time, stay safe and stay staggered.